What's up, guys? Welcome back to the FitBiz podcast. So today on the podcast, you may know him, the Trav Train. He is referred to. He is our director of client success, and I am very excited to have this conversation with Travis because inside of IFCA, Travis, not only is he our director of client success, but he also hosts a call all around limiting beliefs and breaking limiting beliefs. And if this concept is foreign to you, you need to listen to this podcast episode more than anybody, because this is the cornerstone to changing your life once you start to realize that all of your thoughts aren't actually true. And so today in this episode, our goal is to not break all of your beliefs and undo all of your conditioning, but we're going to go over a lot of common false limiting beliefs that we see holding coaches back. And we just want to shine a light and bring awareness to some of these things and have you go, if I've been thinking that's true, what else might not actually be true? And what if I just stopped thinking that? What could I achieve? So Travis, thanks for joining me. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you. Thanks for the intro. I'm excited to just talk about limiting beliefs and yell at each other. It's going to be great.
Yeah, right before this episode, Travis is like, what are we talking about today? And I'm like, what you always talk about. He's like, I actually just redid a training inside of IFCA, and he sent it to me. And this is like the episode could basically just be this training. I didn't know our students even had it. It's 14 minutes of fire of Travis just being like, here's the thing you think is true. Here's why it's not true. Here's the thing you think is true. Here's why it's not true. And I asked him, I said, did you have any notes or anything? He was just like, no, I was just mad and like jazzed up. And I just had to just crush them all right then and there. I don't know why our students even need anything else if they have that training, honestly. That's how I felt about it.
There's some other things going on that need to be discussed.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's start here. What is a limiting belief for those who may not?
Absolutely. So I like Tony Robbins' version, and I know you're a big fan. And it is the stories that we are telling ourselves that are preventing us from becoming the next version of who we want to be. 99% of the time, they're unconscious. You have no idea that you have them. And most of them require someone else to point them out to you, especially if you have no experience with your own limiting beliefs being broken, or you're not familiar with them at all. For you to break your own in that scenario is extremely difficult. If you have some experience with them, it's significantly, I don't want to say it's easier, but the process can be a little bit quicker.
Yeah. How do you even start with somebody who has no experience with them? They just, every thought they've ever told themselves their whole life, they're like, I'm just going to go with that.
You got to break one for them. You just got to be like, hey, just start telling me about your life, and let's just try to pull on a thread a little bit and see where it leads. And let's see what you actually think about yourself, or where you're at in life, or your future. And let's just look for some language where you're just telling yourself a story that's not helping you whatsoever. So you just got to start talking to somebody, and they use little keywords. I can't do this. I don't know about that. I could never do XYZ. I'm overwhelmed. It'll work for them. It won't work for me. Like, all that stuff is just a limiting belief lying in wait somewhere.
Yeah. And once you break one, it's like you can't go back from it. I remember my biggest one that ever was broken was I have to work harder to get better results. I have to work harder to make more money. And a lot of times the reason we get stuck on a belief is because it's done well for us. Will you speak to that? Like, something that gets us from A to B doesn't always get us to the next point.
Yeah. I have a whole theory around this. Yeah, so something that gets you from A to B might not get you from B to C, but you get so hung up on the thing that got you from A to B that you're just hitting another belief barrier where change was required from A to B, but now you're not comfortable with the change that's required from B to C. And this is where we see this all the time. People will start building a business, they get from A to B, and then they climb back down the ladder, so to speak. They find another ladder, which may be, I'm going to start another side hustle. I'm going to start another business. And they climb back up the ladder from A to B. and they get
Mm-hmm.
stuck again, and then they climb back down and they go find another ladder instead of saying, oh, I actually need to get a bigger ladder.
Yeah. We see that with starting other businesses. We see it practically too with like other social media platforms, with different ICA. Like, what are the things in my business I can just change, right? Because I don't want to develop the next skill, or because this is uncomfortable. I really liked your definition, or I guess Tony Robbins' definition.
I'll take it.
Stories we're telling ourselves that keep us from becoming the person we want to become. But why do we tell ourselves those stories? What are some reasons that we even have limiting beliefs?
I have another whole theory on this too. I think the reason why we do it is because it's obnoxiously easy.
Mm.
So let's pretend that I think I can't start a business, right? And that is my limiting belief. Maybe I don't even know I have it. If that's my belief, the story is so short. It's like, I can't start a business. And then there's no fog after that. There's no what's going to happen next. It's like, oh, the story's over. I just literally do nothing. I don't, like, nothing's required of me. What an easy story to tell myself. But if the story is, oh, I really think I can start my own business, then the future and the story is just, it's covered in fog. You don't know where you're going. You're lost in the dark, and you're like, what the fuck is going on right now? And it's so much more difficult. So I really think these stories come from, one, they're extremely easy to tell yourself without a doubt, and they're short. And two, your environment growing up dictates almost all of them. If you grow up and everyone around you has a growth mindset, people are investing, they're working hard, they're trying to become the best version of themselves, you're going to end up doing the same thing just by default. If you grow up and everyone around you makes $30,000 a year, I can guarantee you that you're probably going to also make $30,000 a year until you happen to accidentally come across people that are making $1 million. And it's like, wait a minute, I didn't even know this existed. Like, what the fuck's going on right now? So I think it's those two things mainly.
Yeah. Two things that I want to touch on that you said there. Absolutely, because it's easy. Also, I think if we're like thinking of Tony Robbins and a lot of his theories, most people crave certainty. So they want an answer. They want to know, right? So can I start this business? Nope. Okay, cool. That's certain. I've got my answer. Good to go. But if you go the other direction, it's like, yeah, maybe I could. Well, then why am I still at this job? Well, then why aren't I doing it? Then, well, what don't I have that this person doesn't have? How are I not applying myself? Like, so many questions and so much uncertainty lives in that. So I think as humans, naturally, a lot of us are just looking for the path of certainty, the path of safety. So just like, nope. Okay, cool. That's for other people. Okay, cool. Easy to believe. I'm just going to believe that.
Yeah.
I love the other thing you said too, about your surroundings. And this is something that we've seen in IFCA so much. And Corey and I have been talking about this a lot here recently, because oftentimes there's a lot of comparison between other people, and we don't even realize like the backgrounds that other people might be working with and the years and years of programming that they might have. So we were just like pointing out some of our students and talking about this. I actually use Jordan. If I use Jordan as an example, he uses himself as an example a lot. He grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. He's going to have a different mindset around what's possible and taking off and doing something. Vanessa, one of our top students who we're always just like, giving her an A+, her dad's an entrepreneur. Most of their conversations are around this kind of stuff. I remember one time at a legacy retreat, Bianca, who's another student of ours, she was just kind of blowing my mind with certain things she was saying. And I'm like, this isn't normal. And I went up and I said, tell me about yourself. Like, how are you like this? And she had been to several Tony Robbins events. Her parents were entrepreneurs. She was firing people when she was like 14 years old. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like, cause you just don't get here overnight. So I think it's important to recognize that there's probably, unless you were brought up in an environment like that, there's probably some stuff holding you back. There's probably just some thoughts in your head that aren't true. And so I want to get into some of those. And I've broken down a little list, I think in order of you don't know what you don't know. Like you're not even in the
Yeah.
IFCA world yet. We're not even having the same conversation yet to then, okay, now you understand how to build a business, what comes up next around like
Yeah.
marketing and sales. And then you get to the next level and then what comes up, but also there's a lot in between too. So I'm going to try to take this in order and we'll hit on the most common ones. Let's start here. What about I'm going to start a business selling supplements and using affiliate codes and other people's products. Why might that not be the thing somebody should do?
Uh, so I've heard plenty of people say that, and usually my first response is name me one person that's built a multi-million-dollar business that using that strategy. And the answer every single time is, well, I don't know anybody like that. I just see that's what other people are doing on the internet. It's like, okay, and are those other people making money? It's like, well, I don't know, or no, they're broke. It's like, okay, so
Right.
why would you follow that strategy? What makes you want to do that? And it's just a bandwagon effect. That's what they see
Mm,
on the internet, and they go, oh, that must be the thing to do. I don't really know. It seems popular, so I'm just going to do that, not knowing that that's just like Main Street to broke. You're
yeah.
not gonna make any money doing that. And even if you do, like the amount of time that you need to put in it to get the small amount of money out is insignificant and is a complete waste.
Yeah. That's usually a really easy one for me to break because it's just math. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. How much do you make on this tub of protein? All right. 10% on a $50 order. Okay. So $5. How many of them would you need to sell? What's your strategy to sell that many of them? Okay. Do you know how much more impact you could have coaching people? Do you know how much you could charge coaching those people? Do you know that you could reach 6 figures with 30 clients?
Yeah,
It's,
like
it's
the dollar per hour makes no sense whatsoever. Like it's literally like $1 per hour. It's
yeah.
useless.
Yeah.
But
So
it's easy. It's
yeah,
very easy.
it's you stick a link in your bio.
Yep, and you're
You do what
done.
everyone else does. What about this one? I have to create content that shows people that I know what I'm talking about as a fitness authority. I wouldn't talk about my life or me as a person because nobody cares.
Yeah, it's almost the same answer as the previous one. It's just a misunderstanding of how marketing works. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't know what else to post besides them working out in the gym, because most of these folks are gym rats, which is totally fine and fantastic. But how many people do you know that only post content and they also are making, multiple 6 figures, 7 figures? And the answer is little to none, unless they've got 1 million followers. And we also know people that have 1 million followers that post that way, and they're
Yeah.
broke too. So
Yeah.
it just comes back to the same thing. That's what I see other people doing. I just don't know what else to post, which really is just a lack of information and a lack of skill, that they just don't know how to market, which is okay, because that means you can learn and you can quickly pick up a new way of doing it, which, we teach you guys all that stuff. But
Yeah.
it's just lack of understanding, really.
Yeah. This is one that comes up on my calls all the time because I do, for
Yeah.
those of you listening, I do a content copywriting call mainly circled around that. We talk about anything, but that's what people usually come back to on my calls. And this is the number one thing I look at. I'm looking through their stuff. I'm like, yeah, looks like you're jacked. Looks like you
Yeah.
know what to do in the gym. No one's ever going to hire you for that reason. We always say it, people buy coaches, not coaching. No one's ever going to tell you in a sales call, you know why I hired you? That leg day you posted the other day. Of all the
Yeah.
hundreds of coaches, yours was the best. And that's why I'm here. No, what they're looking for, they'll follow you and they'll save your stuff and they'll say, oh, this is cool. I'm going to try this next time at the gym. And they'll do that stuff for free. But when someone is making the decision to, okay, I want to share all of my personal, intimate details of my life and my body with this person, they have to like you. They can't like you unless they know you. And so, in order to know you, you have to share personal things on your page. And I think it's just this block. So really, I would say that needs to be more 50-50. People are going to hire you for those things.
It's also, and most people don't realize this, is it's their ego getting in the way, because a lot of folks
Mm-hmm.
that come in say, I have the best workouts. It's like, well, that may be true, but I can find workouts on the internet for free that are going to get me the same like gym result as your amazing, incredible program. And if people don't want to work with you because you're an asshole, regardless of whether you have the best workouts, like it's not going to matter. You're still going to be broke. So like your workout and your training protocols, all that stuff's free on the internet. Like that's not what people are buying. And like that will never return. The market's too far gone.
I was going to say not anymore. Like a lot, where I see a lot of people get stuck is that did happen. That did work in 2014 when online coaching was a thing and people would sign up for you because you were an online coach. Now they probably follow 20 of you and they know it's a thing. And they're saying, well, which one of these do I like the best? Either they're saying, which is the cheapest, or who do I need? Who solves my exact problem? You don't want to be number one, trust me. And if you can set yourself apart and be number two, one of those things is just you. That's the one thing that's different from everybody else. Who are you? Is your personality. And then of course, your offer and speaking to their needs and all this stuff that we work on inside of IFCA. This next one is kind of along the same lines. And I think you'll probably say ego again, but what about the, like, I want to make a separate fitness page because I don't want my friends and family to see my stuff because I don't want to bother them because they don't want to see my fitness stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if that one's an ego thing as much as a misunderstanding about marketing again, right? When people come in, the first thing we tell them is most of your first clients, if you haven't been in the game for a while, is going to be your friends and family because that's your current network and audience. So why would we go spend, weeks or months trying to bring new people in when you already have an established network of people? Like, let's just focus on that. And how do we do that? By sharing stuff to your personal accounts. Like if you're listening right now, you started a Facebook business page. Now you have to migrate all these people over to that just so they can see what you're posting. Like you're making it 10 times, maybe even like 50 times harder for anyone to even see what you're doing when you already have access to all that stuff. You have personal profiles, just use them. It's like no one's going to be mad at you. And if you're worried about what other people think, like that's a whole separate conversation, a whole separate limiting belief. Like what's wrong with showing people what you're doing? Do you not want them to know that you're starting a business? Do they not support you? And then that's where the beliefs get crazy because maybe someone's family thinks they're a piece of shit and they're unsupportive. Right. Like you never know, but they should still do it anyway.
Yeah. Imagine someone does judge you. Imagine like this is our worst fear of putting out for family and friends. Well, Susie from high school is going to make fun of me. Okay. Is Susie from high school ever going to be your client? Probably not, at least not right away. Not if she hates you and she's going to make fun of you. Why does it matter then if the goal is to build a business? So a lot of times it's just asking the series of questions, right? That's what I see you do all of the time. You just ask the question under the question under the question until it comes up.
So even that one, I really enjoy when people are like, well, Susie's going to make fun of me. It's like, okay, and then what's going to happen? And they go, well, I don't really know. And I go, are you going to die? No. It's like, okay, so what would happen? So Susie makes fun of you, right? You're scared of that. You don't want that to happen. And then you don't die. So you go back to work and you keep posting, right? Right. And then what? Well, then I just kind of like keep working. It's like, okay, so you just keep going, essentially. Where people get stuck is they're so afraid of that thing that they never ask themselves what happens afterwards. And they default to like subconsciously that they actually are going to die. Like, although it's funny, that's what they're feeling.
Right. Yeah. That's what fear is, right? If we trace it back to like our ancestors, the things that we didn't have social media, we weren't creating internet businesses. The things that we had to be afraid of were a tiger chasing us and eating us in actual death. The thing is now the response is still the same, but I like how you just said it. We don't trace the thought all the way back to be like, well, what's the consequence actually? Yeah. Right. Because it's not the same, but I forget where I hear this, but our biology doesn't get like an update. Like you get an iPhone update, you get a whole new reboot. Like we're working with the same programming that we've had for thousands of years. So this fear comes up, then we have this irrational thought, and then we just shut it off right there. Okay, cool. I can't do this. That's the block. That's the stopper. And it's just simply not true.
Yeah. I mean, we have the same hardware, but we have the ability to update our software. Like that's all limiting beliefs are, and like breaking them and getting to the next version of yourself. It's just new software. Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to break this episode into two parts. So if you are like, fuck, I have limiting beliefs now that I know what limiting beliefs are, there's going to be a second part to this episode where we go over more pricing, sales beliefs, imposter syndrome beliefs. Maybe you're at a point where you need to scale your business, you need to hire, because at every new level, there's a new devil that presents itself. So if you think I've been through a mentorship and I've broken some limiting beliefs, or like, I understand this conversation, I'm woke as fuck, I get it. You know what I mean? I can analyze my brain. There's still more. There's always more around the corner. So we will wrap this one up here. But if you, like I said, if you're like, okay, I'm definitely dealing with some stuff and I just want them to hit me with it like they have with thousands of other students. They know what they are. Make sure you tune in to this next episode.